6.
On air.
I'd like to call the Kokomo Common Council to order, and I would like to say it's refreshing to see as many people are here tonight. I hope you're here because you love us, but we'll see. I'd like you to stand or remain seated if you choose for invocation. Cindy?
Yeah, Pastor Drew Matthew, I want to invite you to the microphone. Drew's from Grace Baptist Church. Thank you for coming tonight. We will have the prayer, and then we'll follow by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you for coming.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for the privilege, the blessing of living in a community like Kokomo, Indiana. We thank you for these men and women who have given of their lives and gifts to serve our community in these many capacities. We ask that you would fill them with your wisdom, with your grace, with your humility as they fulfill this divine responsibility. We ask that you would work your will through decisions made. We ask for your blessings upon our great community, Lord. We thank you for all you have done, all you are doing, and all that you will. And it's in your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Ray, Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Diane, would you take the roll, please?
Collins?
Here.
ACORD?
Here.
Stewart?
Here.
Gricchio?
Here.
Rudolph?
Here.
McKibben? Here. Sanders? Here. Nicollet?
Here.
Absent tonight, Tony Stewart.
Thank you. I would seek a motion for approval of last meeting's minutes. Roger.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the meetings for September the 28th, 2020. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Communications. Do we have any comments, cares, or concerns from the audience? Now's the time to bring it up. What we would like to do is have you give us your name, your address, and we've already talked about this a lot, but we'll give you 2 minutes, and then we'll tell you what we've been talking about in terms of forming a committee.
May I?
Mm-hmm.
Hello, council members, Mr. President.
Your name and address, please.
My name is John Roberts. I live at 5813 Peshawah Court in Indian Heights. And I'm here as a representative of the Kokomo-Howard County Animal Ordinance Committee. It's a committee made up of concerned citizens, and we are here to present a new animal ordinance, hopefully, to be adopted by the Common Council to be the new animal ordinance for the city of Kokomo. And it is designed to also be the same animal ordinance for the county of Howard County. And if I may please, can I please pass this out to, I've got a copy for each one of you.
Would you give them Diane, and then she'll take care of handing them out for you?
Certainly, yes, thank you. In the spring of 2019, out of deep frustration with the care of animals at the property next door, a city resident made a Facebook post exposing the neighbors' care of their animals and the city's animals ordinance inability to solve a nuisance and neglect issue that caused this neighbor great anxiety. The community's response to the Facebook posting was strong and immediate, and a friend asked me, as a county councilman, to do something about the incident. And though this is not my circle of competence, together with my wife Mary, we investigated it. We found that the Humane Society's animal control officer had been to this property many times, and each time he visited, the conditions fell within the parameters of our existing animal ordinance. And that was unacceptable because the neighbor is experiencing great anxiety because the ordinance is not complete enough to fix the problem. Because of this incident, a small group of concerned citizens began meeting, and from these meetings, the Kokomo-Howard County Animal Ordinance Committee was formed. And many members are here tonight. And the committee found that Kokomo's animal ordinance is broken because it has weak language concerning animal care of treatment, and it tolerates what the committee believes to be varying degrees of animal neglect. It's not intentional, but because the wording is so poor, things slip through. And that's why we're here to address this.
I would like to say it may help you out and those that came with you that we've already been discussing this. We have decided to put a committee together. Councilman Greeku has consented to chair that. We're going to get volunteers of the council, and since we're looking at it for city county, there's a lot of other people that we need to get involved to come up with an adequate ordinance. So if that is what you're seeking right now, we're already saying we're going to commit that committee to studying and working on the issue. Okay?
Thank you very much. I'd like to let you know that the Animal Ordinance Committee stands ready to serve the council in any way needed to help move this project forward.
We would look to the Humane Society to play a part in that.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Is there any other comments, cares, or concerns?
What's it going to consider? What's it going to do?
Give us your name and address, please.
Carol Ann Holder, 5104 Council Ring Boulevard. I live next door to these people, and this is what I have to live with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Okay.
And the dog that they had in the first place, old Malachi, that the people made so mean, that poor thing, tortured the neighbors, couldn't get out of their car after their cancer treatment because the dog was running rampant, jumping at the car. He's jumped at my front door. He chased my daughter into the back door. I have a ball bat, had a ball bat at my back door. Mm-hmm. And the neighbor lady's yelling at me, going, if you hurt my dog, it's like, and I've got 2 dogs. And I thought, okay, if they, anyway, I could go on and on. So then they bring home another dog after, let me finish. So the Humane Society, after, I'm going to say 30 calls on this dog, okay, getting loose, torturing the neighborhood, they had, I don't know how many Humane Society trucks out there one weekend, and all the neighbors were out, and one poor lady across the street wasn't aware that this dog was nuts. Not the dog's fault by any means. And she had to run back in the house before he bit her, because I talked to her afterwards. I mean, we're all watching this. So the Humane Society gets a hold of the dog, and they give it right back because of the laws. There is nothing to stop these people. And it's fine after fine, but the fines don't get paid. And the man's got money. It's not a problem. Well, after probably the 40th call, he bit the Humane Society worker. Well, that was the end of the dog, thank goodness, because he was going to hurt somebody bad. But they couldn't do anything because of these laws. So then they get another dog. They just keep bringing them home. They all die of parvo. This is nothing but, we call it the shit pit. Okay? Mm-hmm. They clean up nothing. And they've got 4 or 5 dogs that have puppy after, just litter after litter. And they die like this of the parvo. And then they stick them beside the house, in between our houses. And that's how they take care of it. They're just, I don't know, it's that. And then they get another dog, bring another pit bull home. Not the pit bull's fault. Nice dog until they get a hold of it. Well, the female's in heat. There's 3 other pit bull males out there. And so they get in a fight. And I have all this on video from my upstairs window.
All of which this committee could use, okay?
Okay.
As long as we know how to get a hold of you.
Okay. I just want to make sure something gets done.
Okay.
It's committee after committee, but let's do something.
We will work on it.
I mean, this is sad, and it just continues.
There's been enough interest that this committee is going to work on it. So make sure we can get a hold of you.
Oh, no problem.
With the DIANE, you can give her your phone number later. after the
Okay.
council meeting.
Well, thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
My name's Deb Smith. I live at 1301 TB Drive, Kokomo, Indiana. I understand what Carol's going through. I have lived in this community for almost 32 years, and at one time, somebody dumped off 28 cats in a cage in my driveway. I had to contact Kokomo Humane Society. At that time, it was the old Humane Society. But in order to get anything done, I also contacted the Kokomo Tribune. I am an animal activist. It's not the animal's fault. It's the human being's fault. We are all animals. We're just certain different species. And there was a man years ago that made a comment, and his name was Mahatma Gandhi, that the greatness of a nation and its moral servitude depends on how it treats its animals. We need to do something, and we need to do something now, because enough is enough. It's not the animal's fault, it's the human's fault. We need to make them responsible. And we come to you as a member of this committee to try to get something done. And I know what Carol's been through, because I was involved when it first came out and I got the phone calls. Something has to be done. And Matt knows me well enough to know that I will defend an animal tooth and nail. I will not defend the human who abuses them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments, cares, or concerns? I assure you that Councilman Greeku has already talked to the county members about becoming a part of this committee, and we will be working together with the county to try to come up with an ordinance that is satisfactory to everyone. Any other communication?
Ruth Mann, 5413 East, 500 North, Kokomo. So you're going to have a committee for this. How long does something like that take?
I can hardly hear you.
How long does something like you're going to get a committee together, you say?
Right.
To work on, how long does something like that usually take?
We will want to do that as thoroughly and as quickly as we can. That's according to what we run into. If we have evidence like this lady here was wanting to present, and we don't last long enough to get that, we're going to work to do it as quickly as we can.
And
Now, that is maybe not the answer that you want to hear right now, but we will endeavor to persevere. How about that?
well, that's fine. I just wondered if this was going to take forever and not get done, or,
Okay.
just in a timely fashion, just for the sake of the animals.
Thank you for your interest. Anything else? Hearing none, do we have any communication from the council? Okay, ordinance 6971. Diane, a committee report. Were you wanting to do your committee report, Kara?
I can.
Okay. I think everybody would be interested in what you found out.
Okay. On October 9th, the Redevelopment Commission located here at City Hall had a meeting. There were two discussions of TIF funds being utilized within the community. The first is the assignment for the repair and remodel of the street out in front of here where the parking garage is being constructed. They are going to landscape and repave that. We accepted a bid from E&B Paving in the amount of $216,710.58. So that was approved by the Board of Works. And the second piece of business, is the allocation of TIF funds for the Invitrek building. They have remodeled and landscaped some of their areas out in front of their parking lot. And that total increment tax revenue is $172,710. So they utilize those funds for a new parking lot and some landscaping and repaving efforts. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ordinance 6971. Cindy, or Diane, could you read that by title only?
Ordinance number 6971 is a rezoning from a P10-Z22, from a C1 small to medium scale to a commercial to a IS institutional uses, and it's located at 317 West Jefferson Street.
Cindy.
Yes. Mr. President, I move for passage of ordinance 6971 on first reading.
Support.
Fortune Management Company Incorporated is requesting a change in zone classification from C1 small to medium scale general commercial to IS institutional use for the property described as DC Metzger, second edition, lots 15 and 16, containing 0.24 acres more or less at 317 West Jefferson Street. The requested zone classification is compatible with adjacent properties, and according to the City of Kokomo zoning ordinance, institutional use is considered an appropriate district within the specific area. Mr. Whittick, I invite you to present your case and any questions that the council may have of the people here.
Are there any comments from the audience?
Yes, thank you, Council, Mr. President. Thank you, Ms. Saunders. So just because I couldn't hear you very well, can you just repeat that last, the portion? Did you want me to speak generally on what the project is?
Just speak on it and just kind of tell it. We know that it's rezoning for a medical office and a drug and alcohol facility, but you can speak more about it in more detail so you can explain it to people, and then the council and the people can ask questions if they have any questions.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Council. Thank you, everybody. My name is James Whittick. I am the Strategic Development Officer for First City Recovery Center, which is the proposed name of the new facility. We are hoping to finalize this zoning process over the next few weeks. To be brief, this is the brainchild of necessity for your community, and I say that because I've been personally involved in the treatment of addiction in the state of Indiana since 2016. Daniel Metz is a resident and is from Kokomo. He intimately knows the lack of services that are available here in the county and the city, respectively. This project represents anything but a half measure. We have taken, I believe the first inception ideas happened around October, so just over a year ago. We started due diligence and started some demographic research on what facilities and what type of treatment there is available here to service a local population. Because of that, I do have a more comprehensive document that had been remitted to the zoning board, but some highlights that you should know immediately are this is an issue that impacts your incarceration rate, that impacts your local emergency rooms, that impacts families and loved ones from all over and all socioeconomic divisions of life. So when I initially got a phone call from the gentleman sitting in the back about this need, I was very excited to get involved with the project. From then, my experience, I carry a healthcare risk professional. I'm also very involved with the state in terms of shaping some of the new guidelines that regulate this type of care. I would say humbly, I'm probably one of the most experienced third-party people outside of the state, and I say that because of the 11 other facilities that have been deploying this type of care in your state. I think I've been involved with 8 in some form or fashion, and I've watched the evolution of the licensing process happen. I write a lot of policy. I write all of our policies and procedures. I'm a compliance expert as well. So when these gentlemen stepped forward and said, we want to bring this solution to the city of Kokomo, it took them a long time, and we eventually, fortunately, met and started this project. So the reason I'm here, why we're here now, is because the space that we're looking at does not need rezoning for the outpatient levels of care, okay? It's zoned properly for us to deploy that type of service. The reason why we're here and doing all of this is because in order to maintain effective outpatient service for a local community, So it's real easy to get someone and send them across the country, okay? I'm sure everyone knows someone who's done that. But to be able to take someone from an initial phone call, anyone, it could be in this room, families, loved ones, daughters, mothers, this is not just substance abuse, this is people with dual diagnosis, postpartum depression, domestic violence, which is a major issue in certain law enforcement divisions in the state. Children, everyone that may encounter some of these afflictions, we can take that phone call and be able to immediately provide subacute care to that individual and allow them to be here and remain in contact with family. Because one of the biggest barriers to people seeking care is abandoning something like a job or a family or a previous commitment. So in our performer, we've built out allowances for extremely comprehensive case management, where our staff will be trained in FMLA, short-term disability. We're going to liaise with the court systems, probation. We're going to be able to help people where they're at right now. I will say we've taken a very manageable bite into this problem. We are proposing 8 beds. Now, I am not here to tell you we're going to solve your problem with 8 beds, okay? But I will say that we will be able to evidence the professionalism and the outcome-driven type treatment we do, which is proprietary to this facility. I've worked with our clinical team in developing a strategy to help local people affected with this problem. A very large family care process, because if anyone has known anyone, no one has to tell me, but if anyone on the council or in this room has known someone that's been affected by mental health or addiction issues, they know that this is not a freestanding issue, meaning that it affects the whole family. And there's family support groups that are being proposed. This is going to be a comprehensive care system that's going to help not only the individual struggling, but the individual and the people that it affects. So this is a real commitment to the community. We will be a visible illustration of recovery in your community. We have proposed run-walk events. We have proposed charity events. There's scholarship opportunities that will be allowed for the community itself. We have support from other key community members. We've done a lot of due diligence, and I've had the privilege of meeting some people already before this meeting, and I'm very honored and happy to be invited into this team. So the 8 beds is going to be something that we think is manageable, is respectful to come into the town and let you know how we do things, build some trust, and I really hope that we'll have some growth plans and maybe be back in this room sometime in the years to come to continue to help people in the community. So I know that probably exceeded 2 minutes.
That's okay.
Is that okay?
That's okay.
Okay. I'm going to sit, so thank you guys for allowing me to speak.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
You said it's going to be 8-bed facility, so when you say locally, are the residents or patients going to remain local, or will there be people coming in from the outside of the community to stay in this facility?
This is a very good question. The reason we're limiting it to 8 is that this is and I'll reiterate, this is to service the local community. So our marketing strategy in order providing educational service to this care is going to be generally about 40 miles from where we are. And I can tell you the difference in that, and thank you for asking that question again. I own a home. I understand the impact of what this could be. But the difference here, if we were bringing people in from all over the country, that might pose an increase in crime, an increase in this. But what this project has been specifically designed to do is take people off of the street that are here already. So there's a drug problem here, and the people are here anyway. So we're proposing 8 beds to service a local population here. But in full disclosure, if somebody calls us from Indianapolis or someone calls us from Illinois and they meet that need, then I would not turn down that person if there was an allowance for the bed. In full disclosure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, a couple questions.
Okay.
One, I understand it's a for-profit facility.
That's correct.
And 2, the length of time for a patient in that facility is quantified, or is it just as they progress? And 2 or 3, do they have, or will you have, pharmaceuticals or classified drugs there that need to be secured that you will have to have security for?
So all relevant questions as well. So I'm going to start with addressing the second one you asked first, which is length of stay. So this is a patient-centered model, meaning that the treatment plans that are developed for all of our clients, as we refer to them, patients traditionally, are shaped out of medical necessity and need, and as per something called an ASAM designation of care. So when somebody comes in, there's multiple assessments that are given as early as the first phone call to determine what level of care is most appropriate to meet the patient where they are. Let's assume that somebody's actively using or drinking or actively experiencing mental health issues such as chronic depression or suicidality. The patient would then be brought in to what are proposed, the reason why we're here today, is the proposed higher level of care. They'll come in and stay for somewhere between 7 to 10 days until what we call there's a stabilization process, and the information can start being received. From there, First City Recovery Centers has outlined 120 to 180-day treatment episode, which again, if anyone has any interaction with this issue, is it doesn't get fixed in 28 days, okay? So to put people back on the street in 28 days, in our professional opinion, is irresponsible, although we know a lot of facilities do that. And sometimes if that's all you got, that's all you got. But if we have the ability, and we do that because of a for-profit, we're allowed to give away treatment because we'll hopefully have the resources to provide that care. But we'll be also able to subsidize and not be held by any current payer status that we have to do things. We want to be beholden to the people who we serve. So hopefully that addresses the length of stay question. In short, the level of care that we're here discussing is somewhere between 7 and 10 days for the 8 beds. The community-based treatment outpatient model is roughly 120 to 180-day model.
And you'll do that model also?
Yes, sir. Okay. There were a couple of the things you mentioned in there. I didn't want to leave anything out.
Concerned about security if you have...
Pharmaceuticals, you mentioned. Okay. So yes, we have... The state actually right now is something I was just speaking with Ray about. There is no type 2, what you're inquiring about is called a type 2 institutional pharmacy, and there is no requirement for that at this level of care per the state. So we will operate within state guidelines and administrative code, but to answer your question in a more direct way, is patients will be on medication. There will be a board-certified addictionologist and psychiatrist as our medical director. That position has already been identified and a commitment has been given from that doctor. We will have 24-hour nursing, and we will do what's called an observe and prescribe method, meaning we've identified a pharmaceutical partner, one of your local pharmacies. We don't really need to say who that is, but I'm sure everyone might know who that is. They will then come when we have an e-prescribe system, or when the doctor sees a patient, the prescription gets sent automatically to the pharmacy drops it off with the patient's name. It's locked in a double-locked cabinet, and it's an observation method, meaning when the patient comes from medication times, they'll be indicated by one of our behavioral health techs. They'll come to the nursing window, medication's given, it's observed and put back into a locked cabinet. So policies and procedures outlining the safety for medication has been widely accepted by the state and by the Joint Commission, which is another national accreditation.
Thanks.
Thank you, absolutely.
I have a question.
Yes.
You said you're going to accept women, children, men, whatever. Do you have age requirements?
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have any plans to treat adolescents at this facility. It poses a different set of challenges. Mm-hmm. We're not opposed to it, but adult care is where we're primarily focusing. Okay. There is some admission guidelines, meaning that we currently are not accepting any violent offenders or sexual offenders. We try to keep them as broad as possible because situations present differently, but the health and safety of our staff and our community is paramount. So there is resources available in the state of Indiana for people that suffer or may have that type of background, which we've already established communication with, to help give a proper referral for someone that may be seeking treatment for alternative reasons other than voluntarily. So if the state says you can get out of prison if you go here, you can get out of jail if you go here, we are going to work with the local probation board and drug courts, but if someone's mandated to an inpatient facility, that would not be what we are.
Okay. The other question that I have is you keep talking about staffing. How many people are you considering on for your staff? Of
course. So the First City Recovery Center itself will provide 17 to 20 new job opportunities for Kokomo. Okay. This is an everyday facility, so these jobs are going to come locally. In full disclosure, again, the medical director's out of Indianapolis. Okay. A board-certified addictionologist, psychiatrist is not an easiest thing to find. So we were able to identify that. But yes, there's going to be varying degrees of salary. There's going to be the largest portion of our staffing comes in what's called behavioral health technicians. Those are going to be trained 24/7 kind of care managers for our staff or for our patients. Case management, primary therapists, executive director, director of operations, drivers. So everything from janitorial to professional we'll be able to deliver and hopefully keep some of that money downtown. Does that answer?
The other thing, and when they check into your facility,
Mm-hmm.
are they allowed to check themselves out within a certain amount of time? I mean, how does that
Yeah,
work?
so First City Recovery is a voluntary treatment facility. Now, what I want to emphasize just one more time is the importance of what's called a pre-assessment and determining commitment to treatment, okay? So we are going to, and we've evidenced in times before, that we have a very thorough admission process. We usually contact the family if they're available, and this is a commitment that's made by the patient. So I would be lying to you if I said people don't sometimes want to leave. But our AMA rate with this model in other facilities generally is less than 5%. And if somebody does want to leave, this is not a locked egress facility. There's no seclusions or restraints, which is what DMHA identifies it as. Do you employ seclusions or restraints? Kind of like a padded room. We don't do that here. And this is a voluntary treatment episode. But I will say it's going to be tough to talk through me, to talk through our clinicians, to talk their way out of it, because we know that part of addiction is kind of turning and running away. So it is voluntary, but it would be not the easiest thing to get up and walk out of.
And you will have security on staff?
No, not formalized security. The security will be represented in de-escalation trainings, in training of all of our staff on how to redirect and block what's called AMAs, which is leaving against medical advice.
Okay.
Fair enough? Okay.
2 quick questions.
2 quick answers.
Insurance, pay, how is this going to work for somebody, just
Sure.
out of curiosity?
So when you start a facility and you want to work in a commercial payment system, so you're going to work with primary health insurance benefits. In order to start that, you have to start on what's called an out-of-network basis, meaning that as it stands right now, I cannot credential with Blue Cross Blue Shield, with Aetna, with Humana. I can't do any of those things until I get issued a state license. In order to get a state license, I have to speak with all these lovely people in here. So the short answer is that, yes, we will work on a sliding scale cash pay basis, and we will work on an out-of-network commercial basis initially. So if you have a PPO health insurance plan, you'd have access to care, less your deductible. As soon as we're operational, I have a healthcare attorney that is actively seeking in-network contracts to help offset the cost of care directly to people, and we will work strategically in identifying, and I already know what the majority of this town is insured through. And we are going to already have started communications and plans to working towards being in-network with those providers, which will make care even more available.
And you said you had 8? You was involved with 8 of these already?
Yeah, so in the state of Indianapolis, and I will say, I've had the privilege of doing this all over the country in different states and different forms and fashions, and I've never personally been involved with one before. The opportunity was given to me to be on a personal level involved in this project, and of everything that I've worked with, I think that this is, I mean, if you look at it from a 1,000-foot view, the need for this issue, the need to address this issue in this particular part of the country, yet alone this particular county, is, in my opinion, it doesn't even, it's a no-brainer. Like, it's just a no-brainer. So, and I'm honored to be a part of that on a personal level. So I'm excited to continue to provide these services with, and 8 is what we're proposing right now.
So within that 8, and this is my last question, I promise.
No, it's okay.
How do you compare your treatment? Because it seems to me, I know a little bit about this, compared to the 28-day treatment. You guys seem to be separating yourself from that, as in the sense of the word.
Yes.
I mean, completely.
Yeah.
So,
why is that? If I didn't mean to cut you off, I'm sorry.
yeah, that's kind of where I'm
Okay,
at.
so, oh boy. Here we go, all right? We're going to go, Paul's over there. Here it is in a nutshell. People in this behavioral healthcare field, there's a lot of opinion, there's a lot of science, there's a lot of data, there's a lot of outcomes, but here's the short of it. Whether you're giving $80,000 a month treatment in Miami Beach or you're giving Medicaid services in Seattle, Washington, there's one fact that's pretty much ubiquitous amongst all providers, which is the longer you stay, the better you do. Okay, these are habits. This is the type of therapy we're looking to implement without getting too in the weeds is something called DBT, which is a total, just take it from what I'm telling you. It takes a long time to implement and have those changes stick. Doing any sort of post-traumatic growth after an issue, rape, sexual abuse, difficulty, abandonment, divorce, all these type of issues that I think is a core issue of addiction, not to get too in the weeds, takes time. You have to build trust. You have to build safety. So to bring somebody in who's traditionally already on the untrusting, already abandoned, already abused, to sit down and say, okay, here we go. We got 27 days. You ready to spill your guts and turn it all around and get back to work? It just doesn't work. And if you look at treatment nationally, it's got about an 8% success rate.
I had actually read what you're talking about. I've read into it a little bit, so I was curious to see if that.
Yes.
I like it.
Let me
Thank you.
interject something here. It's been very interesting to hear what your program is.
Mm-hmm.
Tonight, we're here to create and change some zoning for this, which sounds like an excellent program to me. So what we're trying to do is get this.
We're not running a filibuster here? All right.
Well, which is fine. I'm glad we heard what you had to offer.
Okay.
So we have a motion. Is there any other remarks? Yes.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Paul Wyman, 1533 West Lincoln Road here in Kokomo, Indiana. I'm here tonight with my hat on of President of the Board for Turning Point. And as you guys know, Turning Point is our local organization, the no barrier access point for people suffering from addiction and mental health issues. And your council and each of you have been very supportive in helping us get that organization up and running. A primary function of what we do at Turning Point is navigate people who are suffering from addiction to the services that they need to get the help. And in our community, I just could not be more proud of the last 2 years and how much we have rallied around people suffering from addiction. And so when you look at the creation of Turning Point, and then you look at what you all did in helping us get the approval for a sober living facility on the north end of town, which will be coming online in the next 30 days, and you look at what the county did approving the Valley of Grace out in eastern Howard County, and that's going to be coming online early in 2021, we are really making a statement as a community that we are rising up to the challenge of the drug issues that are facing us. And so this is another step in that positive direction. And so what these folks are offering to bring to our community, I can tell you at Turning Point is an absolute service that we need. The services that they're going to be providing on a daily basis are something that our clients, when they walk through our doors, have an absolute need for. So this is another positive step, and I would just encourage you all to support this tonight and approve the zoning so that we can continue to take those steps forward and meet the people in our community where they're at and get them the help that they need. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor of approving 6971? Is that correct, Diane?
Yes, sir.
Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much for your input.
Yes, thank you.
6972, Diane, could you read that by title only?
6972 is in reference to P12-C-20. It's an R4 urban residential to an NC neighborhood commercial located at 1735 South Market Street in Kokomo.
Cindy?
Mr. President, I move for passage of ordinance 6972 on first reading.
Second.
Brian and Faye Hayworth are requesting a change in zone classification from R4 medium-density urban residential to NC neighborhood commercial for property described as Hamlin Highland, lots 433 and 434, containing 0.344 acres, more or less, at 1729 and 1735 South Market Street, Kokomo, Indiana. The requested zone classification is compatible with the adjacent properties according to the City of Kokomo zoning ordinance, and neighborhood commercial is considered an appropriate district within the area. Do I have a representative from Hayworth to present this case? Come to the microphone.
Do we have any comment?
Yes, we do.
My name is Faye Hayworth. My address is 1800 South Union. I'm co-owner of Dan's Bakery. And we just want to make that property a parking lot for our customers to make more convenient and safety-wise for the neighborhood.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there any other questions? Yes, sir.
My name is Fred Schaefer. I live at 1732 South Market, which is directly across the street from the proposed property that was presented to you. I have with me a letter I would like to read, and with it I have some signatures of other people in the area who are residents who feel the same way this letter that I wrote will be. To the members of the Kokomo Common Council, we, the residents of the neighborhood of Hoffer Street and Market Street, wish to make it known that we oppose the expansion of the business of Dan's Variety Bakery to include a parking lot planned to be built at the intersection of Hoffer and Market Streets. There are many reasons for our opposition to this proposal, including the hours of operation in which the business operates. The business opens at 1 a.m. in the middle of our time of sleep, and the noise and commotion can sometimes continue until as late as 2:30 or 3 a.m. These hours are very troubling to those of us who must get up in the morning the next day. This is a residential neighborhood, and we feel by allowing the expansion of this business, we will interfere with the quiet and peacefulness we feel necessary to get a restful night's sleep. In the past, we have had to deal with the traffic that accompanies the increase in business. The late night crowd is mostly younger people who have much disregard or respect of our properties and of our safety. There has been drag racing of the younger crowd on Hoffer Street. They also drive by honking their horns, creating loud noises with their vehicular radios and loud exhaust. These are only a few of the problems created by the patrons of the business. Market Street is a narrow street without any curbs or sidewalks. The pedestrians must walk in the street, and this will cause a dangerous situation with the increase in traffic. Based upon the past way the people have driven, it would only be a matter of time until someone is struck by a vehicle. This is a situation that we do not want. I will please take these facts into consideration when making your decision to allow the request of this business to expand in our neighborhood. If the business needs to expand, there are many business-zoned areas with empty buildings and ample parking area that they could move into without causing a problem to the neighbors. Well, thank you from the neighbors in Hoffer and Market Street area. I would also like to say that I have addressed these problems with the previous council member. Unfortunately, he was a family member of those who own the business. And his reply to me when I asked him about the problems that it was causing, he said, call 911. Well, I don't think the police department needs to be bothered all the time because someone wants to open their business in the middle of the night and cause a problem for everybody else in the neighborhood. I would like to submit this to the council. It has been signed by members of the area, and Mr. Martin and his wife were the ones that did most of the work on taking up the signatures. And one thing I would like to say to you, no one that he talked to refused to sign the petition. I would like to say thank you for your time and for listening.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? What do you think?
Penny Martin, 1722 South Market Street. My husband and I spent yesterday afternoon getting the signatures for the petition. We weren't we don't have anything against the Hayworth family or the donut shop. They're great. But they've maybe outgrown their location, and we oppose, along with about the 50 other residents that we have the petition signed by, and a lot of them are on, sorry, lost my train of thought for a minute, Union Street. And that is the street that's getting the brunt of the activity now. And these people have been putting up with it for about 4 to 6 years. And they've called the police. They have to clean up trash in their yard, the drag racing, the loud noise. It is a nuisance. And we oppose it. And we would ask the council to say no to this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions about it?
Thank you. Any questions?
How long have you lived at your residence?
60 years, coming up. And most of the people in the neighborhood are long neighbors, a lot of older people. It is a residential area.
What is the property right now?
Vacant lot.
Vacant lot?
Uh-huh.
There's no business?
2 vacant lots. No, not at this time. And I might add, the only thing that was on that vacant lot for a good while this summer was a picnic table. That only encouraged the younger crowd. People our age or younger, they run in and buy some donuts. They don't party. But that's not what we're getting at this location.
Any other questions?
I
Any
just
other
wanted to say
questions?
that no one, unfortunately, at the Plan Commission, you and Mr. and Mrs. Martin didn't know to come up to ask, to ask a question. But I think we have some, Ms. Hayworth, you want to come over? Because, so we're here, we're listening, but we did pass that, but we didn't have any remonstrators on that day. So, thank you.
We were at the meeting, yes.
But
yes.
you didn't, well, unfortunately, you didn't hear to come up to speak on that before the meeting was over.
No,
So
we
I'm glad that
didn't.
you're here today. Mrs. Hayworth, you're going to come up and...
We have a motion. Oh.
I want to address that. Most of the customers that we have, they do park everywhere. We're just trying to localize the parking so it's not on Market, it's not on Hoffer, it's not down Duffenbaugh, it's not down Main Street, because they do walk 3 to 4 blocks away from the donut shop because we don't have enough applicant parking space right there. We do understand that it is an odd time of business hours at 1 o'clock, but as the council know, the donut shop been there for 45 years now. Unfortunately, yes, we do have a young crowd that comes in at 1 that thinks it's the thing to do to buy donuts fresh at 1 o'clock. And they do not have respect for the neighborhood but we cannot control that. We do have off-duty police there at 1 o'clock, well, from midnight to 2, to control some of the loud noise and the loud music, the racing, the horns, and we try. So I'm sorry for all that you guys have to deal with, but it's just, we're trying to make it to that so that our customers are centralized, and it's not, that way they're not going down the street. They could just pull into the parking lot, get their donuts, pull out. No, it's not going to solve everything.
It's going to create more of a problem because with a bigger parking lot, you're inviting a larger group.
But they're parking everywhere in the neighborhood anyway. They will walk 3-4 blocks. I'm serious. They will walk from down Dufferin-Ball, Hartford, Union, everywhere. And it's a business, and right across the alley from the parking lot, or the space where the parking lot will be, I hope to be. There's a bar right down the street. So it's not all residential.
May I ask a question, Mr. President? May I ask a question?
Yeah.
How many spaces do you intend to add with the parking lot?
Well, it's under my understanding that the Planning Commission will have to help us designate how to form the parking lot, how much space we can have. It is almost a third of an acre, I think, but it does have a concrete slab on the property, and we want to keep that concrete slab there in case we decide to put a garage there or whatever. So how many space we could get that will be feasible.
Okay. And around this area, do you plan to have any type of a fence or anything like that? If
Yes,
you have people coming in the middle of the night, are you doing anything to protect with, headlights shining in people's
On the north side of the property, we plan on putting a privacy fence the whole length of the property.
Okay.
That way, the only headlights will be hitting Market and across the alley at the log cabin, which is right now it's empty, and we are in the middle of purchasing that property. We were actually closing that property Thursday.
Okay.
Is the log cabin a part of that property?
No, it's two separate property.
Oh, okay.
What is your vision for that piece of property?
My husband planned on maybe finding a small business to go into there, maybe an insurance company or something like that.
But not anything to add more to the parking lot?
No.
You're looking to use it as the building stands?
Yes.
Okay.
Ms. Hayworth, my understanding is it's zoning for neighborhood commercial. So they couldn't build anything on that parking lot as it is now. That's my understanding. So that's my understanding with the zoning.
They're talking about the log cabin across the street.
Okay. I had a question, if you're finished, Councilman.
Certainly.
I had a question. You say you have people there that are security people?
Yes.
Security people. Okay. And have you ever, with the parking lot, have you ever thought about putting signage for 15-minute, 10-minute parking? 15-minute parking and having someone enforce that?
We have not.
Do you see what I mean?
Yes, we haven't got that far into planning that.
I'm just trying to look at every.
We haven't got that far into that situation, or I haven't. I don't know if my husband has.
That's important, I think.
I would assume that we will designate it to be our parking lot. Our patrons. Hopefully, we don't have extra people parking there.
Well, even if they come in in your donut shop, if there's a 15-minute time period that they're allowed to be in there, and it's discouraged. I'm just trying to look at both sides. I can see the people, if they can't sleep and things are disrupted, I can see how that could make it worse with the parking lot, designated parking lot in that area. So I'm just trying to look at some other avenues of, monitoring how long people are able to stay there. And the number of parking lots is important to me as well as what the other councilman said.
This is the first reading, so I think we should probably attend to the first reading, and if you want to check things out and talk to other council members, whatever, between now and the next meeting, I think that would be, we can get this out of the way. We got other business to attend to too, but we don't want to ignore anything that you're concerned about.
Right.
Mr. President, I would entertain a motion for ordinance 6972 to be tabled until we can do some further investigation into this.
We have a motion on the floor, Mr. President. You have to address the motion
on the floor.
we have.
We got to vote it up or down.
We got a motion on the floor that we either have to vote up or down right now.
And it's only first reading.
It's a first reading.
We're going to have time to investigate before
Right.
second reading.
Right. So we have a motion and a second on ordinance 6972. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
Huh?
No.
No. Roll call. Diane?
ACORD,
No.
Collins,
Yes.
Roger Stewart,
Yes.
Griecu,
Yes.
Rudolph,
Yes.
McKibben,
No.
Sanders, aye. Miklick.
Aye.
Six to two.
Huh?
6-2.
Motion carries.
What's a motion?
I mean,
You didn't let me speak.
let you speak.
No, we've already done
We've
this.
already
We're
done
done.
it.
We've got
We're-
second reading.
we'll
You can
have this-
go and speak at that time.
We'll have the second reading next Monday. Okay? I didn't, we've got a resolution, 2751. Could you read that by title only, Diane?
Resolution 2751, where it's been determined that it is now necessary to transfer funds. Be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Kokomo, County of Howard, Indiana, that the following balance be and hereby transferred for the purpose herein specified, subject to the laws governing the same.
Mr. President, I'd like to present Resolution 27651.
Support.
Thank you. This resolution is moving money from the general fund to other general funds to cover, and there's a couple large amounts that I just want to speak to. We are in the process of building a trolley barn, and a couple of large amounts in here are going to help fund that as matching funds. And the money that we're moving actually will be covered by the CARES Act also. So we're receiving several $100,000 of the CARES Act, and we're moving money from the Department of Wages, Transportation, into the Board of Works to cover the building of the trolley barn. Those are the big items on this resolution. With that said, I would move that we adopt Resolution 2751.
Second.
We got a motion and a second to pass Resolution 2751. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution carries. That concludes our meeting for tonight. On October the 26th, we'll have the second reading on what you heard tonight, except for the resolution. Thank you very much for coming.